Is that
Don't you like them? I
I
think you
do,
should get a
yeah,
pair.
I might get a pair.
Your shoe game has gotten better, by the way.
Yeah, that's not because of me.
Do you cut your shoes or?
No, I really don't.
You a Chuck guy?
The Chuck Taylor guy?
Yeah.
Oh, back in the day, yeah. That's all they were. They'll come back in. It's like fat ties and skinny ties. Well, a little bit about the past game, as we always do. I mean, it's always great to beat your rival, and anytime you get a win on the road, I think it's valuable. I did not think we played great, but I thought we played great at the end, and I thought the other games we played great at the beginning or middle and not great at the end. So at the end of the day, it's about getting a win, and you play good at the end. You find a way to grind out. Sometimes that is as good as anything else. Our defense, other than the start, I thought was pretty good. I think it hurt when we had two guys on the bench for quite a while, especially two of our better offensive players, but we need to continue to get our defense better because it gets our break better, and our break is better, we're a better team. It is good to be home, but as you can tell, nothing's safe anymore. I guess our kind of teams that were at the bottom, when you look at what Ohio State did yesterday, it just adds to the fact that we don't really ever feel comfortable. Yes, the home teams have won more, but Iowa, lost their first 3 league games, but have won 7 of their last 12. And probably, including their win over Wisconsin, offensively, they've been unbelievable. It's an experienced lineup with Perkins and Sanford, of course, one of the best shooters in our league. And McCaffrey, who, was out for a little bit, but Patrick's a very, very good player. And the Cricky kid, the transfer from Valpo, has helped them. The Freeman kid has had 2 big games as in the last 3. As a kid, we recruited some, and I'll be honest with you, I think is going to be, one of the 2 guys that'll be freshman of the year, and he's played extremely well for them, especially as of lately. They're one of the top scoring teams in the league at almost 80 points a game, and they get to the free throw line 20 times, but more importantly, they shoot 80% from the line. So I think defending without fouling is going to be important. Transition defense, they're one of the best running teams in our league. They score off of make buckets and missed. And the Perkins kid is really the straw that stirs the drink. So as far as we go, pretty healthy. Tyson's always going to have the day after a game off a little bit. He practiced yesterday a little bit, but we didn't do much yesterday. Hopefully he'll be able to go today, and everybody else is, I think, very healthy. So we're just looking forward to playing another game, another conference game at home. Questions?
I'm wondering, a lot of times you have games that you don't revisit, you burn. How much do you show them last year's Iowa game and how things transpired?
Sometimes you burn them, sometimes it's burnt. It's already been burnt. But, we did talk about it a little bit. That's the kind of team they are. They were 22 or 21 down to Minnesota the other day with 16 minutes left to go in the game and won. And, they're a team that can be explosive offensively. When you look back on that game, it wasn't that we missed free throws, we just gave up 3s for 2s, and I have to take as much responsibility to that as the players do. So I don't dwell on that. It's hard to dwell on a game early in the year anymore, the way it's ever changing, and it's all about today. So for the most part, it's just a reminder that they can score quickly. That's what they do well, and then it was trumpeted by their win over Minnesota when they were dominated the first 25 minutes, and then just did an unbelievable job the last 15.
You mentioned your bench on Saturday night, and you mentioned a few guys. And I'm wondering, when you went back and watched it, what you saw from Jackson Kohler, what you saw from Xavier Booker, what you saw from Cohen Carr in their stints that stood out, good or bad, and what did you like?
Well, what we've asked Jackson to do is slow down a little bit, you know, I mean, that's all right, they'll get it. You can just tell when a guy, you know, in his case, okay, he was out for the 2.5 months, and then he comes back and he wants it all back yesterday, you know, it's like, he's never missed those kind of shots, or that's what he does well. What he doesn't do well is maybe defend as well, or run as well, or rebound as well, and now he's rebounding really well, and that's one thing I really got from that. But I think he's moving at such a fast pace offensively that the shots that he never missed, he's missing a lot of them. So we're just trying to get him to slow down. But we are seeing great improvement in him in the last 2 weeks. As far as moving, as far as the ball screen coverage is, I think he's doing a better job than he ever did here. Rebounding the ball, he rebounded the ball better than anybody the other night per minute. So that was good. As far as Cohen goes, you know, we got to make him a defender and lethal on the break, which he was, and he was pretty good defensively too. He picked off that one. His offense is going to be a work in progress, and it's going to take this season, it's going to take all summer. But it is getting better. His shot is getting better, and some of that will be confidence, but he's got to defend the daylights out of somebody, and this would be a good game since they have big guards, big wings. Who else did you ask? Xavier. You know what, it was only 3 or 4 minutes, but we're just seeing him so different. I told him the other day, if I took the film of July and August and September, compared it to the October and November, and then compared it to now, it would be like 2 different people. First of all, he is 20 pounds heavier, and it's hard to believe that, but he is. But his aggressiveness, his physicalness is getting so much better in practice, and even in the game, you know, he's just, there's a comfort level now, and you're going to see more minutes out of him. I really feel that way. I believe that because I'm really excited about how his attitude's been, how he handled maybe a tough situation, and how he's coming out of it. But as one guy goes up, somebody else is going to have to go down, you know, and I mean, we'd like to get more out of Marty. It's been a struggle, you know. I don't know if it's some things that happened in his life, but it's been a little bit of a struggle. And Cooper has been very good. I mean, he has been as solid as anybody in there as far as defensively and a little bit offensively. And, you know, he has worked very hard on those little jump hooks that are really shot well and don't always go in. And they're going to start going in, and when they do, he'll be better and we'll be better for that too. So we did get a lot out of our bench. At one time it was 20-some to 0, I think the bench points were. I don't know what it ended up, but that was an important part going into the game. We said we got to get more. Trey Holloman played awfully well too, under the circumstances of having to go in and play a different position.
Now we talk about consistency so much. Do you feel like you're making strides at least in that department, and just with March coming up in that?
Yeah.
Does that come on?
I as you know, I am harping on that, but I bet you after this weekend there's a lot of coaches harping on that right now. But I really am harping on that. I just, do I feel it's getting better? I do. I feel we finish games better. There's some things that are happening, but, you know, can we consistently do it both halves? Can we consistently get, you know, 3 or 4 of our top players playing that consistent? It is a funny word. It's a word that you wouldn't think you'd use as often as I've used it, but I think everybody's using that word a little bit more. You know, we're all trying to figure out how to push buttons to get guys to prepare right, and then to execute right, and then to finish right. And so the consistency sometimes goes from practice to the starts of games, to the middle of games, until the end of games. And I don't think where I want to be yet. I don't think we're where we need to be yet, but I do think we are making some progress. And I think as I hear my players talk about it, you know, like we talked in one of the huddles in that last game about, okay, somebody on the court's got to take over now. You know, we've got it. And I saw a little more of that, so that has been encouraging.
I wanted to ask you a little bit about Monty because, you know, with him having kind of a limited offensive game, rebounding is so important for him. He was rebounding really well early on and just hasn't had those numbers. I mean, how concerning is that when he's your starting five?
Yeah, it's concerning, and you know, as you know, his minutes have gone down. It's concerning to me for him. It's concerning to me for us, especially when all this started happening, when he's had a couple of tragic things happen, and trying to balance that and figure it out, and learn that, you know, for us, I'm saying Americans, usually when something goes wrong, you lean on your friends, and you know, his culture is a little different as he explains it to me, and it's hard for me to fathom that, but you know, I said it when he lost his grandmother, you know, nobody knew, and that is very difficult and very private, so you know, walking that fine line has been challenging, but he's not playing as well. I mean, we all know that, and he does have a limited offense. He gave the perfect scouting report, but he had been very good defensively and rebounding really well. And so we need to get some of that back, and you know, we're gonna do what we can do to get it back, and then we're gonna adjust the way we have to adjust if it doesn't come back.
Well, and then following up on that, I mean, I know the NBA is a business and college basketball is a little bit different, and knowing that he has gone through some tragic things, I mean, do you think about, you know, maybe changing the starting lineup, or just to get you guys, you know, you've had good starts, but.
Yeah, we have had good starts. You know, this is where, honestly, I'm trying not to make it a business. Unfortunately, we're a business now too. But I'm trying not to make it a business. I'm trying to understand the human side of it, and I'm not sure it would be best for him. You know, he's had enough things taken away, and yet I got to worry about what's best for us. And I'm trying to walk that fine line right now. And right now, you know, we have gotten off to some pretty good starts, and it would help if we can elevate him a little bit. But that could happen, but it's not happening yet. Best way I can say it.
I was gonna ask you about, you talk about consistency, that's something that I would imagine you wanna try and keep consistent too. I mean, how much does that, like when you make a late season change, you know, I would imagine there's a ripple effect that comes with that.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think the positive on it is, you know, it's not like we're expecting this and this out of Marty. We know how many minutes he's played. You know, I never just give up on a kid either. And I say that, you know, maybe it comes the time. If I thought it was the pressure, I'd say maybe it'd be good to come off the bench. You know, that's happened with a few players. And as I try to spend a little more time with him, maybe that's what we'll do to try to help him. But we're going to try to help him and help us. And if helping him means we start him and it doesn't help us, then I've got to look at, unfortunately, as you say, the business side. Right now, I'm looking at, I don't think it changes a lot, and I just don't want to, I want to look at the human side, which we don't do enough either. And right now, you know, Marty is, we all know he's struggled a little bit, and we've acted accordingly in the minutes, but that would be the next step if it had to be, but I'm hoping it doesn't have to be. I'm hoping he comes around a little bit. We'll see what happens.
Mentioned it a little bit earlier, Tom, with Tyson missing, or, you know, holding out of practice strategically. Just what is sort of the preservation idea with, you know, other times in games you guys are looking like, hey, we can save him a little bit here or there, or how much do you want?
Yeah, we don't have that.
Yeah,
We don't have that luxury, and he's assured me that, you know, it gets tight, it does this and that, and trainers and doctors. I mean, is probably not gonna go away, but he played, I thought, one of his best all-around games Saturday. He scored it, took it to the basket, he passed it, threw some great lobs, and he defended pretty good, and he rebounded decently, had I think 3 or 4 steals. I mean, you know, that was, I think, his best game in 3 weeks, as far as overall. Wasn't his best scoring game, but overall. You know, we're not looking at it like I'm playing an injured guy. I'm playing a guy that's not 100%. He's hurt. He's not injured. There's a difference, and hurting a little bit. Everybody's hurting at this time of year. Him a little bit more, and his size and everything, and he relies so much on his speed that it's you know, it's different than some other guys. But he was in today. He's doing great. So I'm okay with where he is.
Usually late February, you get some teams that start to check out. And you get Iowa that just beat Wisconsin, Ohio State that beats Purdue. Like, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of that anywhere. And I'm just wondering the dynamic of this time of month, this time of the season, how it's different from the other times.
Yeah, you gotta admit, is there one thing that's the same as it's been over the last 20 years? This year, last year, you know, it's all changing. But, you know, sometimes you can look at it the other way, as the teams up here. First of all, there's not a lot of separation. I mean, if you really took a look at Michigan, you took a look at Ohio State, I mean, Ohio State had 2 18-point leads and lost. You know, they've been in a lot of games. I mean, Iowa has been in some games, their record could be even better than it is. We have no bottom, as we said. We've talked about that. We just have no bottom. But maybe sometimes the upper division teams can't handle everything that's going on either. You know, we always look at it the other way. And I don't know what the answer is. I just know every game, our new motto is this: let's try to win the game. You know, I've never seen a year where you know, coaches I talk to or myself is not looking ahead. You know, I mean, we're all human, just like you are. You know, you look for a big matchup, or you look for the rivalry game. You look, can we win this game? And I don't know if that's good or bad, but that's the way it is. And I think everybody's trying to stay focused on each and every game. But the separation, you know, and this is why I just hate the net and everything, in my personal opinion, because the separation is so close with all these teams. The win and loss, there's still an eye test. You know, did you lose the game by 2 or 3 because somebody missed a free throw and somebody made an incredible shot? You know, whatever it is. And this year in our league, there's been more tight games and more. I mean, how many teams do we have that are got 6, 7, or 8 conference wins? 10, maybe more. Probably more, right?
12, actually.
So that's not the norm for most years either, you know, and there's usually more separation. So I don't know. I mean, that's for you guys and the analytics people to figure out. I'm just trying to figure out how to win one more game. And but keeping your guys consistent is kind of the key. If we can do that, and you know, I watched some of that Purdue game. God, you look at Ohio State. I mean, did Purdue play as well? Probably not. But boy, you look at Ohio State and they look legit. And then you think of some of those players that played well. They played well last year, and so and they've been in games all year. So you know, Michigan, that was a good win for us. I mean, they got talented guys. They've just got a tough situation down there that I don't know any coach could deal with. Tyson Walker being out on Saturday and back on Wednesday, I don't think I could deal with that very well. So sometimes you gotta go with the cards you're dealt, and that's what everybody's trying to do.
Not sure if you've been asked this in a while, but just curious how things are going with Jeremy and his progress right now.
Yeah, You know, Jeremy's had unbelievable progress. I mean, he's shooting now and doing things that I never thought he'd do. In fact, I just talked to his mom and dad. They were at the game the other night, and I said, man, I mean, there's some guys that are quick healers and some guys that aren't quick healers. He is a tremendously quick healer. I mean, he was walking, and now he's doing a lot of stuff. He's jogging, I think, underwater, and you know, does that mean he's going to play this year? No, but does that mean that he's really getting better and will have a spring and summer to get well on and improve his skills? Yes. So I've been very. Jeremy's a unique kid, man. He's still in those huddles. He's in those timeouts. He's at the half times. He's always got something to say that's right on, and I appreciate that about him.
Question with that, is there an availability for a red shirt?
Yeah, we're gonna try to do that. You know, I don't know if you'll ever use it or need it, or I don't know what's gonna happen in the future, but he's somewhere in that one game, which, I mean, right now we give a guy, I think we got 40-year-olds playing in some football leagues, so we should be able to petition and get something. It seems like everybody else can. His circumstances are more than deserving of that, and yet I'm definitely not politicking right now, and I'm just saying, I think we're in a time when there are no rules, but the only time the rules seem to come up is when the rules probably aren't fair. I mean, here's a case where a kid deserves to be looked at, and we'll do that, but you have to turn it in, and then it has to, which I think we have, and then it goes through a lot of stuff, so we'll see.
That doesn't happen on the back end. I thought that usually happened at the
Yeah,
end.
it did. Now I think they give you a little. I mean, you used to have to wait 4 years,
That's what I
right?
thought, yeah, I thought it was like
I
at the
think
end,
that's
and maybe-
changed a little bit, but
Okay.
who knows?
Yeah.
Do you guys talk about, you know, with the season winding down and where you guys are in the standings, about the importance of getting a double bye when it comes to the tournament?
God, I gotta watch how I answer this because it'll sound wrong. You know, when you start out like we did, you know, you really don't care where you are if you can't win it. You care about being the best team you can be at the end, and then you don't care what your seed is. You just care about getting in. And there have been many years, and then 3 or 4, when we've had to worry about that as early as we did this year. And so I tried to keep that boulder off their backs. I think I'm gonna keep the boulder off their backs that, hey, we put ourselves in a position where we have a chance, but who knows what these other teams are gonna do. But it hasn't been a battle cry, you know. As I said, we haven't very often, but there's teams that have, you know, played 4 games and won it all. I think Iowa or Illinois one year, meaning the conference tournament. And, you know, we've been a 7 seed and got to a Final Four. So I think this day and age, there's so little difference between those teams. It's still playing the game. The 1 extra day rest in the tournament would be, but I think we have bigger fish to fry, and so we haven't really harped on that. We've talked about it. We said, you know, this would be nice if we can do this, but these guys have had enough pressure on them. You know, everybody, of course, talks about the streak in the NCAA tournament, and you know, a month ago that was in jeopardy. I mean, it's always in jeopardy until you get it, but it was in real jeopardy. So don't want to add more and more things on, to be honest.
Anything else?
Jeez, you guys sleeping in or what? Nothing else?
Did you talk with Robin at all after they won down?
I did. I watched the game, sent her a text. I talked to Adam, said it was a pretty good week to be a Spartan. They're a pretty good 8 days, you know, and I said it after our press conference, but I say it now that, you know, some venues all around, as we travel different places, are changing. You know, I am so pleased and excited and thankful that our fans have been so supportive here I mean, they're supportive at a radio show. They were supportive in Ann Arbor. They were supportive in Detroit for our hockey team. You know, I consider myself blessed and lucky. But, you know, in Ann Arbor where you can't see the upper deck because it's dark, really didn't get a feel for how many people were there, and still they started chanting, and I went, wow, you know, and I don't know how they got tickets. God bless them. They got them, and so it's been, yeah, Robin, that was, I asked her if she was working on trying to get a 4-point play there, or an 8-point play there towards the end, and that was amazing. But yeah, how cool that we all got some sweeps, and that doesn't happen very often. And so I did talk to Robin. I did text her after and talk to her next day, and I talked to Adam, and I was excited for them just like they were excited for me. I didn't know then that our women's team went down the night before, and they came to our game. They were at our game, and that was pretty cool too. So I guess I better figure out how to make a trip with my team. And you know, my guys do get over to the hockey. They do watch women's games. Gymnastics has been really good. I mean, and our wrestling is good. It's just that they're in a league where we have so many teams in the top 10 in wrestling. It's scary. Glad I'm not in that situation, but appreciate what all of our teams are doing, and you know, maybe the day will come when we get to play for a cup like Stanford does all the time.
Chris, I wonder if you heard what Rick Pitino said, and maybe this is more of a roundtable question, but I guess what are the conversations right now with coaches with the changing landscape? Because it feels like we said, here 5 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, it's markedly different. I'm wondering about the profession though, like how, especially being a venerable statesman, we won't say elder, but
God, Chris, I appreciate that, brother. That's
you know what I mean? It's
that's
like
a
you guys
nice
are
way
having
to say
conversations
it.
like, how do we
What are
keep
you
this
laughing
all?
at? Yeah, I think he definitely would say 3 years ago. I mean, it's changed 2 years. I mean, Matt McQuaid is back, you know, and you know, he's with the Houston Rockets and doing very well, and he says it's just strange to look at it from both sides now, you know. I don't know, what did Pitino say that I could answer?
He was just lamenting his roster construction, team playing soft, you know, kind of
Yeah.
portal.
Yeah, well, teams are gonna play softer because, you know, it's harder to coach them. I mean, it just is. It's just, you know, I mean, if God, I did something, what I love doing is, you know, when Magic comes back or Teen comes in, or Steve Smith the other night, I called him after his son made the free throws, and on the bus, and you know, they're talking about it, and they're talking about even the NBA, and Matt McQuaid was talking about his coach kind of going after his guys. I said, that's legal, you know? And everybody makes a joke of me about it, but it's very difficult to get guys to play harder. You know, that has to be, last night I watched some of The Last Dance, and I picked a segment that I remembered that Steve Kerr talked about how Michael was in practice, and guys were mad at him and this and that, and I'm going, you know, that's how you win championships. That's what separates you. If everybody's the same, there's no championships won. You know, that's how you do it. You separate yourself from the rest of the people. And if Rick is talking about that, I mean, roster management, I mean, I'm thinking the spring's gonna be a complete zoo for everybody, you know? But one thing about, I won't say my writers, that sounds, our writers, our people here, I've stayed a distance the day I came back from those meetings. when everybody thought I was crazy. And I took a lot of abuse from people even nationally, like, how do you feel now? How do each and every one of you think of it? How do you look at it? I don't know what's gonna happen. I've vowed over the new year that I was gonna try to just let it go. And believe it or not, I have in a lot of ways. I am supposed to be part of a big meeting on Thursday, big Zoom call, but I've even gotten away from some of those because it's difficult, you know? I mean, I don't know everything that happened with McDaniel, but I know coaches are always at fault, but are players ever accountable? You know, and what did that do? I mean, that's a hell of a player on a pretty talented team. I don't think I could have handled it any better than Juwan has. And it means I'm sticking up for my rival. You're damn right, it means I'm sticking up for my rival. You know, I don't think you all can even fathom what we all do on a daily basis now. And, you know, first thing McQuaid said to me when he walked in, I said, well, tell me, because he was skeptical of doing it. And I told him why he should. And I said, well, how is it? And I've talked to him on the phone a couple times, but this was face to face. Coach, it's all basketball. You know, that's why we got into it. That's not the way it is now. And it's okay. I mean, I'm not complaining about it. I picked and chose it. I could leave, I could stay, I could do what I want to do. But I will state till the day I die, if this is best for all parties involved, someone's got to prove it to me. Schools, the coaches, the players, the families, the unintended consequences that all this has brought is going to be difficult, and you won't find that out for 5, 10, even 15 years down the road. But any time in any profession, there is not the ability to hold people accountable. I don't see any benefits in your job, in my job, or in their job. And that is why maybe Rick Pitino said what he did. I don't know, I should call him and ask him. But there are no surprises for me. That's the advantage of being on those committees. The disadvantage is it brought a lot of tough times for these past 3 years because trying to fight it wasted some of my energy and time too. But I don't know. I'm gonna call him and ask him, but exactly what the basis of it was what?
I guess he was saying about his players being soft.
Yeah.
You know, he said that it's not gonna be like that moving forward in a lot of ways.
He also said it was the most miserable he's been coaching a team.
Yeah.
Called them unathletic too.
At least in
That was a
Joe.
big thing. He said they're unathletic.
It was not great.
Called out players.
Really?
So they were slow laterally.
Does he know that? I better tell him, I better send him a lawyer. Does he know those things are illegal to say now? Huh? I know you guys are
Private
laughing,
school.
and I know deep down, you're looking at me saying that SOB was right. About, what I'm saying is the truth. I mean, you're not supposed to do that. I mean, God, that Jordan thing was great. And getting in a fight with Steve Kerr and fight with, you know, it was awesome. Enjoyed it. And guess what? Steve Kerr's one of the best coaches in the league too. So guys, it's interesting times. The good news is Michigan State has won
3 in a row and 7 of 9.
God, I was gonna go bigger, and we won 12 out of
14.
12 out of 16.
Since Baylor or something?
Yeah, so you know what? I'm gonna stick to the positive because I'm a positive kind of guy. I never look at the glass half empty. I'm looking at that son of a gun three-quarters full, and we put ourselves in a position where we are playing better if we can get a little more consistent. I think, I still think this team could be just about where we were. What were the reasons for it? I already attacked myself on it. Coach got to be responsible for that. But it's not over till it's over. And then everybody decides where you are and where you've been. And we still have a month left of the season or more. So I'm gonna take advantage of every game and try to get better. But I'm gonna tell you this, the Iowa team coming in here, they're on an upswing. They're playing well. They've had some games they could have won, or they would be right now playing for third. I mean, when I say could have won, I mean should have won. Ohio State, you know, got beat by that team last year in the Big Ten tournament. They got a lot of those guys back. They've added a few that are even better. So, I mean, I think this is a big week for us, but don't think because we're home, it's anything better than we're on the road, because I don't think anybody knows where anybody is right now. And we're just gonna try to keep doing what we did. Defend, rebound, run, execute a little better. We have done a good job of not turning the ball over, even though we had 10 this last game. We creating more turnovers, that's a positive. We got to the free throw line more, that's a positive. And if I don't leave this press conference, I'm gonna get soft, because I'm gonna figure out so many positives we're doing that I'm not gonna wanna go to practice and get after somebody. But we are getting better, and joke about a lot of things. We are getting better. Consistency is the word. If we're in the paper, that would be my headline. Consistency. Are they gonna get consistent? And if we do, we got a chance. If we don't, we'll just be another team. Anything else?
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks, Aston.
See you guys.
Yeah.
12 teams with 6 wins in the league.